Hello, everybody. Welcome to our lesson today. Today, we're going to talk about the different ways to pronounce the letter E in English. Of course, in the word English, you already have one pronunciation, E, but we're going to talk about some rules that you can follow. And also, we're just going to give some examples of different words that use the letter E and different ways that it's pronounced. So first of all, let's say hi to the people who are here. We have Nirvana, Vlad, Mohammed. We have Lina, Panisa, Alba, Miroslav, Amal, and others. Hend. We have more and more people joining us right now. So Nirvana, how are you today?
Hello, everything is good. Thanks. How about you?
Good. Everything's good. I'm finally back at my house. I was in Mexico for 2 weeks. Now I'm home and it feels good to be home.
Nice.
Great. Vlad, how are you today?
Hi, I just got home. And I'm fine, thank you. I made a pause for around 3 months on this lesson.
But now you're back.
Now I'm back. Yeah.
So you were really busy for 3 months?
No, I was on hospital. I fell asleep while driving my car.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was a lucky guy because now I'm fine. I can walk again without any help.
Wow. It's good that you're okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I think the beginning of a new year is the best time to start doing something that maybe you stopped doing last year or something that you have been putting off. To put something off means to say that you will do it later. Right? So if you put something off last year, if you kept saying, I'll do it later, then beginning of the year can also be a great time to do it, to stop putting it off. To put something off is the verb. Yeah. Great. And Mohammed, how are you?
I'm fine. Christmas miracles. It's my pleasure to see you today.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you too.
I was interested in your videos, your lessons, but today I have a chance to meet with you. Thank you again for your being here.
Thank you. And where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Somalia.
Somalia.
Yeah.
Great. And so what do you think about this? The beginning of the year, are you planning to do something different this year from last year?
Yeah. I have a lot of plans to be changed my life, to become an English speaker, to complete this course for the end of the year, to be influenced, to speak like you English. Yeah.
Great.
There's a lot of plan in the schedule of the life. Because New Year, when it comes to New Year, you have a lot of plans trying to previous years.
So do you live in Hamar, Mogadishu?
Yeah, you know Somalia. Have you been there?
No. It's the capital, right?
Yeah, but I am not living in Mogadishu, but I live east of Somalia, the Puntland state of Somalia, Puntland. But I think I'm not the first person from Somalia, since there's a lot of students who come from Somalia to study here, yeah?
We have some students from Somalia.
Yeah. I wish to hope to complete my career for the improving English language.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have the last 2 days I joined to attend the sessions, and I understand the way we are joining here. Because when you are joining the community speaking English language, you have to get confidence to speak more and you learn more.
Yeah.
I mean, encourage you to continue like sessions.
It's important to practice, right?
Yeah, practice is the best way. The more you practice, the more you become good speaker.
I agree. I was in Mexico for 2 weeks, and trying to practice Spanish is very
Yeah, nice. That was a nice. We have meet here. We have introduced a new teachers like Antonio Potts, and it's my great today to have one of my favorite teacher that I wish one day to meet him.
Hey, maybe I'll come to Somalia and we'll meet each other.
I'm welcome if you come to Somalia. Yeah, and I will teach you Somali language. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, teacher. Thanks.
Great. So yeah, anybody else who's watching right now, I just want to let you know, if you have questions, you can write your questions in the comments. I'll try to answer them. Our topic today is about the different ways to pronounce the letter E in English. And it sounds like something very easy, but sometimes it can be confusing. So yeah, anyone who's watching, anyone who's here right now, also, if you have a question, you can turn your camera on, you can raise your hand. So if you want to say something, that's a good way to do it also. Great. And I see Michelle is with us also. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Chris. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good now. I was sick last week, but I'm getting better now. And thank you for having me here once again.
Well, I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
What's new? You've recovered from being sick, right?
I'm still recovering. I'm not as sick as I was until last week because I was very sick. It's a long story. I was in the hospital, but I'm home now since the beginning of the week. That's why. So I'm joining you guys now.
Great.
It's a pleasure to be here once again.
It's great to have you. All right. I see that Adan has a question for us here. Hello, Adan.
Hello, teacher. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. I just have a question. I wanted to say only hi because
Okay.
I used to be here about three or 4 months, and it's the first time to see you. That's why. Yeah.
Great. So where are you from?
I'm from Somalia, as like Mahmoud.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Great.
you have a lot of visitors from Somalia. Yeah.
That's great. Maybe I should focus on Somalia.
Yeah. Actually, we have to prepare to invite you to come here.
Oh, I would love it. What is some typical Somalian food?
Injera.
Injera?
Yeah.
Maybe you can write it in the chat and I'll find it and find out. I understood this time in the last 2 weeks when I was in Mexico, I understood that one of my favorite parts of traveling is eating food.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
You can tell if we meet in person, you'll see.
Somalia, they are always like to drink camel milk and also eating camel meat.
Okay.
And actually, the people always, if you have in rural area, if a person have a lot of camels, hey, the people are respect, and hey, this guy is, he respects the people, and that guy is great man. If he has keeping a lot of camels, and the people each other, and he can control the people if you have a lot of camels.
Wow.
The
So
typically, but the food that Somali people famous is injera.
injera. Uh-huh.
It's
Is
just
this
like
is like a pancake or something?
it's just like not pancake. It is bun, something that is like, have you like in Kenya it's called chapati, our neighbor in Kenya, but
In Kenya?
similar. It is look like, but not the same. It's actually different. This is called injera. I don't know. Let me check the Google. You can see it if you
Uh-huh.
check it.
I will.
You-
I looked on Google for camel milk, and it says that it costs $240 US for a small bottle like this.
200.
240. $240, yeah.
Yeah, it's business. I have to to be a businessman.
Yeah. Maybe you need to send camel milk over here. That's a good business idea.
If you come here in Somalia, you can drink as free as you
Yeah.
can. Yeah, everywhere is camel milk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Hopefully I'll try it one day. Well, thank you so much, Adan. It's great to speak with you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get to our lesson, pronunciation of the letter E. And I see that we have a question here about the word Eve. That's how you pronounce this word. I'm going to write it on the screen. Now, sometimes when I write it from the computer, the word looks a little small. So you might need to zoom in on your screen. But this word is Eve. Eve. Unfortunately, Zoom does not have a setting to change the size here. So yes, this is the word Eve, E-V-E. And what are the rules about the letter E? So, sometimes there's a rule, sometimes the word follows the rules, sometimes it doesn't follow the rules. So what really are the rules? Well, there's three main sounds. There's three main sounds of E: the short E, the long E, and the silent E. Short E, long E, silent E. So when do we use them? When do we see them? Well, one of the rules that we can remember is that we usually have a short E after a consonant sound. Short E after a consonant sound. What's a consonant sound? So there are two types of letters in English: consonants and vowels, right? Vowels are things like A, E, I, O, and U, sometimes Y. And then we have consonant sounds. Consonants are letters like B, C, D, F, G, H, and many, many others. So the letter is not important. It's the sound that's important. So a vowel sound is a sound like ah, ooh, e. These are vowel sounds. Consonant sounds are sounds like b, d. Right? These are consonant sounds. So after a consonant sound, if we have an E, then it's usually a short E. If we just have an E, then it's usually a short E. Mohammed in the chat here wrote the list of consonants, English consonants. Yes. And the letter Y can be both a consonant and a vowel in English, which is confusing. So that's one rule. So let's think of some examples. For example, the word bed. The word bed, right? This is a short E sound. Is this sound. Bed. Sometimes people might write it in the phonetic transcription like this, like egg. Yeah, egg is another example. Good, Amal, in the chat here on Zoom. Left, the word left. Now, there's something funny about pronunciation in English. There's something funny about the pronunciation in English that we have two different ways that we can write the sounds, right? We can use the phonetic transcription, International Phonetic Alphabet, or it's called IPA. And that's what we use. That's what every country can use to talk about sounds in the same way. So this is probably the better way to talk about it. International Phonetic Alphabet. These are letters and symbols that are not just in English. They're lots of different symbols so we can understand sounds in different languages, right? That's one way that people talk about it. And maybe at school or maybe at university, you learned this. You learned how to write these sounds, or you learned what they mean. And it helps if you know this to understand how things are pronounced. But many English native speakers will not use that. In the United States, we don't usually learn that at school, the International Phonetic Alphabet. I only learned it when I became an English teacher. So most native speakers of American English don't know that. If you write that, they don't know what that means. Instead, they use a different system that a lot of teachers used at school, which is how it sounds in English. So the short E sound in English sounds like which they usually write like E-H. E-H. So this is the short E sound. So if an English speaker, if an American person writes it, they probably will write it like this, that this is how you think about the sound. But there's a lot of words with this. Adan wrote another one, let. Mohammed, this is not the word key. It has the long E sound. So that's probably part of another rule about the long E sound. And here on the wajiha, get also has the short E sound, right? So on the chat on Zoom right now, I'm going to write the long E sound. This is the phonetic transcription. This is the international way to write this sound, E. Or an American English speaker might write E like this with two E's, double E. And you can see that in a lot of words in English, when you have two E's, it sounds like E, right? For example, in the word see, or the number 3, right? Or need, agree, Wajiha writes, be. Yeah, these are all words that have double E. Another one is meet or free. Yeah. So when we have these different words, it's easy to understand when when it's long, when it's double E, it's easy to understand, right? But another rule is that we say long E after a silent vowel. So if the vowel is silent, then we will pronounce E long. It'll be a long E. So key might be one like that. It's before a silent vowel, right? So this also, you can also see this in, yeah, Michelle, like beach. I think it's more correct to say that the E is usually before the silent vowel, right? Like in beach, or like in the word wheat, or sneak, or freak. Which I see Roland has joined us. I know in French there's some kind of slang like le fric means something like money, right? That's not what it means in English. In English, freak is something that's unnatural. Like if you say he's a freak, it's rude. It's not nice. It means he's like a very strange thing in the world. Weak, Amal writes, yeah, but we have to be careful because there's also the word break, which doesn't follow this rule, but it looks like it should follow the rule. So usually this is going to be long E, but there are some exceptions. Great. So the last pronunciation is when we have silent E. And silent E is usually at the end of a word. And it changes the sound of a vowel earlier in the word, right? So here we can compare some words. For example, let's compare two words. H-O-P, hop, and H-O-P-E, hope. Hop, to hop means to jump, like a rabbit. To hop. And hope. Hope means that we want something to happen in the future, but maybe it will happen, maybe it won't, but we want it to happen. We hope it will happen. So by adding E at the end of the word, we change the sound of O. Instead of O being short and hop, it becomes long and hope. And we can see this in many, many, many words. Another example is rat, an animal, rat, R-A-T. But if we put an E at the end of the word, then it's rate. Rate. So usually when we add the E at the end, it makes the vowel sound pronounced like in the alphabet. A-E-I-O-U. Right? It makes it pronounced like this. So another example might be cut. C-U-T, cut. But when we add an E at the end, C-U-T-E, now it becomes cute. Cut and cute. Right? I see another question about the word enjoy. Enjoy. So here, E makes a different sound. It's not part of the main three rules. Instead, it makes a very short sound, enjoy. And this is because it's not stressed. So we have E at the beginning of the word, but it's not stressed. It's not where we focus the sound, right? Another example would be enlight, a verb to enlight someone, or I guess sometimes this doesn't work. So at the beginning of the word, the letter E might sound like but usually if it's stressed, it sounds like E, like in English. Sometimes it can also sound like excellent, right? Excellent. So it could sound like a long E at the beginning, or it could sound like a short E. I guess that's really why we're talking about it today, because there's so many different pronunciations, and a lot of the words don't follow the rules that we try to say. Another question is about the word elite. Elite, which means like top or best. Elite. This is a private group of only the most elite students, for example. Harvard University is one of the elite universities in the world. For example, it means like top or best or highest. Okay, another someone else just brought up a good example. The word have. It doesn't take the pronunciation, like the E at the end doesn't really change the pronunciation of A. We have, but then there's another verb, to behave. And here we see that it changes, right? Have and behave. That's a good example of another thing that doesn't follow a rule. English is so complicated, right? Great. So I'm going to skip the question about someone saying that they are a 34-year-old girl looking for marriage. I'm going to delete that one. Let's keep our questions here just about English. Great. The next word is essay. Essay, like a report or something that you might write about a topic. An essay, to write an essay at college or at school. Great. But then we also have the word English, which has the long E at the beginning. Or England. Or easy. Great. Okay, I see another question. How does the letter Y work as a vowel? How does the letter Y work as a vowel? Oh, Muhammad wrote eagle. That's another good example of long E at the beginning. And eagle, it's a type of bird, right? It's a symbol of many countries. It's a symbol of the United States too. Eagle. Okay. There's a question about the letter Y. So the letter Y can be both a vowel and a consonant, and it depends just on depends on the sound. So let's put Y as a vowel and Y as a consonant. Great. Okay, so in a word like day, key, say, or even in the word buy. Here in buy, it's very strange pronunciation, I think. Let's use a different one. Buy. Another strange pronunciation, right? For example, so in all of these examples, it sounds, in the examples here, it sounds like day, key, say. Some sound like E, some short E sound at the end of the word, right? This is a vowel sound. The letter Y is a consonant when it sounds like Y, Y, like the letter Y. Like that's what you usually think when you see it. Y. In international phonetic transcription, it's written like this, like a J letter. Y. So if you study German, then the letter J sounds like this. Y. But so this is like words like yellow, you, yummy. In the word yummy, we have the first Y is like a consonant, and the second Y is like a vowel. In the word yummy, E-E, Y-E, yummy. So why is that important? It's important because when we want to use articles before the word, it changes depending on if it's a vowel sound or if it's a consonant sound. It's also important because sometimes the pronunciation of the word will be different if it's a consonant sound or if it's a vowel sound. So you probably remember that we used the article A before consonant sounds and an before vowel sounds. So a yellow shirt. But an excellent student. Right? So it's the only thing that is important is the next word. If the next word starts with a vowel sound, then we have to use an. If the next word starts with a consonant sound, we have to use a. So sometimes it can be confusing because we have words like university, and university starts with the Y sound, with Y. It can also be confusing with vowel sounds because sometimes we have a silent letter, like hour. He was driving 50 kilometers an hour. Right? It can also be confusing because sometimes the sound is not the same as the letter that you see. So, for example, in the word university, it looks like a vowel at the beginning, U, but the first sound is a consonant sound, y, you, y. So y is the first sound, not oo, you, right? And another example of this is, for example, MP3, a type of file to listen to music, MP3. Well, the first letter is M. M is a consonant letter, but the first sound is eh, M. The first sound is not M. The first sound is eh, M. So an MP3 Can you send me an MP3? If you meet someone named Sarah, the first letter of her name is S. S is a consonant letter, but the first sound is eh, not s. S. So her name starts with an S. Her name starts with an S. My name starts with a C. The first sound here is S. C. My name starts with a C. Or my name starts with a K. First sound K. But Michelle, his name starts with an M. And Nick, his name starts with an N. And Robert, his name starts with an R. The first sound is ah, not It's R, the letter R, right? So those are some good examples. Another good example is a European city. I'm visiting a European city. The first letter is E, but the first sound is not E. The first sound is Y. European. European. A European city. Great. See lots of comments here. Gray. Gray has a vowel sound, and yogurt has a consonant sound. Good example. Mahmoud says, what does yummy mean? Yummy, and Michelle answered, yummy means delicious. Vlad, it tastes good, right? Yummy means that it tastes good. The opposite would be yucky. I talked about both of these words in a video on YouTube recently about baby talk. Words that that parents say to babies and that babies say because parents say it to them. On Zoom, here's the link to the baby talk lesson. Yeah. Okay, I see some other good examples here. An MTV show. Yeah. If you watch a show on MTV, it's an MTV show. Exactly. Or the film company Universal. A Universal film, a Universal picture. Yeah. Santosh asks, what about MAL, mall? I don't know what that is as a noun, so I guess it's an abbreviation. So we say the letters. If it's a word, then we would say a mall, but that's written with 2 L's. A mall. But if it's an abbreviation and we have to say the letters, then yes, then it's an MAL. If that's what it is, right? Great. Great. Okay, so, okay, another question about pronunciation was about the word efficient. Efficient. So here we have the short E sound at the beginning. Efficient. And then another question was about the word encore. ENCORE, encore, which is a French word. And so here it takes what English speakers try to make it like a French, take the French pronunciation of on, but not usually when English speakers try to use French pronunciation, they're not very successful. So So encore is the English way to say it. Another funny example of French words in English is the word tennis. I might be wrong, but I believe that tennis first was popular in France. And when people hit the ball, they would say tennis, something like this, tennis, tennis. And it was like, take it. But when they wrote this word tennis, that there was an S at the end that was silent. And so when English speakers read this word, they said, oh, it's tennis. And so during this period in history in France, the sport became less popular, and in England, it became more popular. And then now the world calls this sport tennis, but the word was taken from French originally, I think. John asks, does encore mean repeat? Yes, encore means repeat. So encore is probably in your language, you have a special word for this. When you watch a performance, like a dance or a ballet or something, ballet, another French word, and you want them to continue, right? Like somebody does a performance, maybe a concert. They play 10 songs, and then after the last song, everybody's clapping, everybody is applauding, they're clapping, and they want to tell the musicians, play another song, keep going, keep going, continue. They'll say, encore, encore. This is what it means in English. This is what encore means. It means continue. Vlad, you say bis in Russian. In Russian, they say Nabis. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Great questions. All right. Another question was mishave. This word mishave. Although I almost never use this word, but that's the pronunciation. Okay. Another question is about immigration. Okay. So there's two words. There's immigration and there's immigration. And really, in pronunciation, they sound the same, which is really difficult. So many, sorry, it's with the first one is with one M. I think I made a mistake here. Yeah, with one M. So this is something that native speakers make mistakes with all the time. These two different words. Is it immigration with an E, or is it immigration with an I? And for native speakers of English, they sound almost exactly the same. So what's the difference? Even native speakers make mistakes with this usually. So the difference is that with an E at the beginning, it means to leave a country. You're leaving, you're going away from the country. And with an I at the beginning, it means that you're coming to a country. So let's imagine Nirvana leaves Brazil and comes to America, United States. Comes to the United States. So she emigrated from Brazil. This is with an E. Emigrate from a country. And she immigrated to the United States. This is with an I at the beginning. Immigrate to a country. So this is the difference, but the pronunciation is like exactly the same. Some people who know the difference, they might try to pronounce them differently, like emigration and immigration. Usually it sounds very, very similar, and it's hard to understand which one someone's talking about, but you can understand from the context of what they say, because if they're talking about leaving the country, then it should be with E. And if they're talking about coming to a country, arriving in a country, moving to a country, then it should be with I. The way that I remember this is when it's with I, it's in. They're going in the country. And when it's with E, it's exit. They're exiting the country. This is how I try to remember it. Because even, like I said, even for native speakers, people make mistakes with that a lot. Great. All right. So are there any more questions from our amazing group of students here on the lesson today? Think of your questions, write them in the chat, or click the raise hand button or raise your hand, and you can ask your questions. But also for everybody who's watching, I just want to remind you that we have live speaking practice lessons every day on our website, chrismarycoast.com. And if you want to join, then here is the link. Today's lesson is a different type of lesson, because we're just teaching something to everybody who's watching, right? This is the type of lesson we have to do so that we can be on Zoom, on YouTube, on everywhere at the same time. But in the other lessons in our program, usually we go to small rooms and we practice speaking with small groups of people. So there's speaking practice. This type of lesson is more of instruction or a lecture, right? Okay, Nirvana, hi.
Hello. My question is about what's the difference between in the moment and at the moment?
Moment. Yeah. Good question. So in the moment means usually we use this phrase to mean without thinking. This is how we usually use this phrase, in the moment. It can be positive, it can be negative. Like, for example, I saw my friend falling off of the building, and in the moment I dropped my drink and grabbed his leg. So like without thinking, I dropped something and I did something. So this could be positive, negative. A lot of people who practice yoga or meditation or something like this, they will use the phrase in the moment. They'll say, live in the moment. Live in the moment. It means don't think about the future, the past. Don't think about problems, and just be present now, right? Live in the moment. So it means don't think too much. Don't think about all of those other things. So really in the moment means something like don't think. Don't think so much. At the moment is usually, it could be used for two different things. It could be used to say immediately when something happens. Like at the moment, and we might use it without at. We might say the moment he arrived, everything got better. The moment Elon Musk took over Twitter, it got worse or better or whatever you think. And so you could say at the moment that this happened. So it's like exactly at that moment. But another way that we can use at the moment is just like right now. If we want to say, for example, someone says, what do you do for work? You can say, at the moment, I develop websites. I make websites. At the moment, I make websites. So this means right now, but it means right now, but it might change. It means right now, but not forever.
Mhm.
Right? So someone can also just ask, hey, what are you doing at the moment? What are you doing right now? What are you doing at the moment? Are you busy? Hey, are you busy at the moment? Or can you talk?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Great question, as always. All right, I see John has a question now. Hi, John.
Hello, teacher. Good morning. Here
Hi,
in
you can call me Chris.
Excellent, teacher. Excellent class. It's for me important to return to my class. Necessarily understand that we need to time to continue with the practice English all days. I had one question, teacher. So 1 year ago for the pandemic had a great problem when my company sent me that create a one spot for the COVID-19, the people always in your home. Remember that send one video, one expression regarding to this word beach. Remember that,
Beach.
yeah, I remember that my expression was, I gonna go to the beach. If the people, American people understand different, okay? Then my question is, what is the best pronunciation? Because for me was a problem, okay? My parents write me and send me, oh, what is your expression problem for the future for me? But understand that we need to practice that expression, the pronunciation, but in the future don't have the problems.
Good question. Good question. And I see more questions coming here in the chat on YouTube, and I'll answer those too. John, so yeah, I think it's important for this word for you to make the sound very long, so there's no confusion between those two words.
Yeah.
You know, the beach, the place where you go in the water to get sun,
Okay.
and not the other word that has a short sound, which is a bad word.
Yeah, okay, bad word, definitely.
So it's better to just make the sound very long. Beach.
Perfect, teacher. Okay, definitely understand to the future use very good this word.
Yeah, just make it long. It might sound a little strange that you're saying the sound so long, but I think it's better to sound strange saying this word instead of people thinking that you're saying the other word, right?
Yeah, no, definitely, teacher. Thank you, teacher. I clarify my problem. Okay.
Thank you. And let me give another example here too, like the difference between the word seat and sit. Seat, S-E-A-T, and sit, S-I-T. So this is the same as the question that you were asking, right? About beach and about sit, about the other word that you were asking about. So seat and sit. I know in many languages, we only have like a long E sound, and this short sound is difficult to say or to hear. So another way to think about this is like with music. There's like a rhythm and there's beats on the drum. And when we speak, language is also like music, and it can follow the rhythm. So when we say the word sit, it has one beat on the drum. Sit, sit, sit. This is short. But when we say the word seat, it has two. Seat, see eat, see eat, see eat. Seat and sit. This is the difference between the long sound and the short sound. That the long sound has two beats on the drum, and the short sound has one. So you can, so if it's difficult for you to say the difference between these words, with the long sound, you can just say the sound twice. See eat, see eat, see eat. If you say that, then no one will confuse it with sit. Great. Wajiha, another example, beat and bit. Beat and bit. Great. All right, there was another question here about the difference in pronunciation between diner and dinner. I'll go ahead and share my screen for this. So we have diner and dinner. Diner, a diner is a place, is a type of restaurant. A diner is a type of restaurant. And dinner is a time when you eat food. You eat food in the evening, the last meal of the day. This is dinner, right? So diner and dinner, that's the difference between these two words. Another one is man and men. Similarly, hand, this is the same sound as man. An, man, hand. Or hen, men. There are two different sounds. Great. Okay, another question was about fans. And these are the same two sounds. Fans and fence. So again, it's an and n. Fan, fence. Also, the word fan, z, with a z sound at the end, and fence at the end. Right? With s, fence. Fans, fence. Great. Ronnie writes, dinner is supper in the UK. Well, actually, some people say supper, some people say dinner. I mean, usually it's the same thing. A lot of people try to say that there's a difference, that one is earlier or later, or really, I mean, for most people, it's the same thing. Great. Okay, another example is sin and seen. And also the second word also sounds like seen. So the first word, sin, a sin, or to sin, it can also be a verb, is something bad that you do. This is a word from religion. It's a word from religion. A sin, a thing that is bad in the religion. Or a thing that is morally bad, against your morals, a sin. The second word is scene, and a scene is part of a film, for example. Like in a film, you watch a film and first the people in the film are at the beach. And then later in the film, people are in a house. And they go to different places, right? And so there are different parts of the film in different places. And each of the parts of the film are scenes. So you might say, I really like the beach scene in this film. I like the part of the film that they made at the beach, or when the people are at the beach. Right? So this is the scene. A scene can also be a place, like the scene of the crime. The place where the crime happened. The scene of the crime. Right. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. So I see somebody also writes, dinner is the main meal of the day. We can't say that dinner is a meal only in the evening. Well, we can. We can. If you eat at noon, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, or if you eat at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that's lunch. That's lunch. Just because it's the biggest meal for you, it doesn't mean that it's dinner. It's lunch. So Vlad writes a phrase here on Zoom: do not make a scene. Yeah, don't make a scene. It means like don't bring lots of attention to us. Like, for example, I'm walking down the street and my daughter starts screaming and screaming and screaming. Ah! And everyone who's around looks at us. I can say, she is making a scene. To make a scene, right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this this lesson today with me. I hope to see everybody at the next lesson. Remember, we have more lessons today too that you can join from our website, chrisamericos.com. And in those lessons, we go to small rooms, we practice speaking, and it's not just me talking all the time. So, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.